day 2 of the prompt that we started yesterday with my HMH text about superhumans on the horizon. So yesterday we did the controlling idea and we analyzed the prompt. We broke down the prompt. So go back and watch that video. Today we are doing evidence, and I'm going to show you what the kids wrote on the board. So it was about the concerns about the shifting from restoration to enhancements. So then we talked about evidence, we talked about strong pieces of evidence, and then I sent them to the boards. And this is what they came up with. All right, so I'm a Texas teacher and I'm teaching 8th grade, and this is an example. So they went to the text in our HMH textbook, and this was what they came up with. Enhanced technology might affect all of us, but how long will it take? How long will we have prosthesis that makes athletes better in their sports? So we talked about that. So here was one, and then I'm going to show you what I did. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you. So when we talked about those pieces of evidence were fine, but they're going to have to come up with a strong means and matters, which we're doing tomorrow, because they could make these pieces work. But then we did talk about how some pieces are easier than others to make work. So here was one example. All right, and here was this example. They used the same one at the top, but then at the bottom, who will be able to afford these technologies? So afford would be a concern. Exactly right. And then this one talked about the intensity of the Olympics for professional cycling, and one day we'll wake up and realize, I thought that was pretty good, that we're doing more than restoring lost function. That's a pretty good concern right there. And then this group said it demonstrates that we can boost our intelligence, and they're going to enhance our abilities, giving us powers that we never had before. That's a pretty good concern. The top one, demonstrating and boosting our intelligence, that's another one. If you can back it up with the means and matters, then you could make that work as a concern when we talk about that tomorrow. So that was another one. All right, and then this one talked about how long we have until the prosthesis, not to mention drugs and genetics. So how long, and will the effect be mostly positive, or will it be another pressure to compete at work? So here we have the top one. You could make it work in means and matters, but that one's going to be tough. And then the bottom one, definitely it's another pressure to add to life. So here was another example. So after we talked about it, we read them out loud. They got to see what others did. We talked about what it will look like tomorrow with our means and matters, because I want them to choose 2 pieces of strong evidence. And that's what they put in their framework. So grab that. So this is the framework that we are working on completing together, and we're going to the boards to do each piece, and then we're talking about it. So I told them after we went around that they needed to come up with an evidence here and an evidence here. If you want the framework, go to my classroom printable resources and you can grab the framework. But they had to pick 2 pieces of strong evidence, and then tomorrow they knew we're going to have to say, okay, so what does that mean and why does that matter? And we're going to really dig deep into those statements. So that was their assignment today, is they had to pick the 2 pieces of evidence after looking around. And if they found another piece of evidence, I know in my previous class, not this one, but they had talked about how it was sneaking into technology, and so that was another good piece of evidence, and I introduced that piece of evidence to this class, and then I just told them to come up with 2 pieces of strong evidence. Check back tomorrow. We're going to do means and matters. You're going to see what my kids do on the board and how I teach that. That's the development part of the essay. Happy teaching.